Hello, my name's Simon Patmore from the Bitclub Network team in the UK. This video is an introduction to Bitclub. So what is Bitclub all about? Well, we're a global wealth building company for the digital currency market. The whole business is based on Bitcoin. So what is Bitcoin? Well, it's a worldwide digital currency that is decentralized and isn't controlled by any government or institution. Bitcoin is actually sent throughout the internet from person to person with no bank or intermediary being involved. Bitcoin is fast, safe, and it's an honest way to send money to people. Anyone can set up their own Bitcoin account. You don't need any qualifications or anything like that. There are no fees, no chargebacks, and no borders at all. For the first time in the history of the world, anyone can send or receive any amount of money with anyone else, anywhere, instantly, and basically it's for free, and it's impossible for anyone, including governments, to stop them. Bitcoin really is the future of money. So how does Bitcoin work? Well, anyone can purchase Bitcoin from a Bitcoin exchange using dozens of different currencies and payment methods to buy and sell it. One example is localbitcoins.com. Bitcoin is sent from person to person, similar to how PayPal works with just an email. All you need is what's called a Bitcoin address to send it to, and it'll arrive instantly. Bitcoin relies on miners who verify all these transactions that are sent. Bitcoin is traded on the open market, so it's always a real value that's determined. Bitcoin is currently at today's rate, which is the 1st of August 2015, is worth about $285. But the senior experts and the traders predict it could be valued as high as $10,000 in 3 to 5 years' time. So who is using Bitcoin? Well, you can see all these companies, some of them you've probably heard of: Dell, Overstock.com, Nutella, and even Starbucks. In fact, Starbucks in America are currently offering 20% off anyone who buys coffee who uses Bitcoin. Over 150,000 businesses in the USA are currently trading with Bitcoin, and about 750,000 worldwide. But it's growing fast on a daily basis as more and more merchants start to take it because it's so easy to set up. There are also no refunds, chargebacks, or any fees to accept Bitcoin, and the money is received instantly when it's sent. So, just if we look at 2014, there was, in terms of all the transactions going around the world, there's 54 billion was spent on transaction fees, compared to perhaps 5 billion using Bitcoin. If you look at all the sending and receiving that takes place with all these particular companies, PayPal, MoneyGram, Western Union and so on, that's 54 billion worth of transactions, which all build up to a significant number of fees. Those fees themselves cost the African continent 1.8 billion a year, and that's enough money to pay for the primary school education of 14 million children in the region. So what happens if we start sending Bitcoin around the world? Well, it literally costs pennies to send it all around the world, and these companies here are all Bitcoin companies. Every single one of them is already transacting and helping us pass Bitcoin around the world. So what is Bitcoin mining? Where do the Bitcoins come from? Well, everyone who uses Bitcoin becomes part of the bank of Bitcoin. Miners use special software to solve maths problems. They verify all the transactions, are rewarded with newly issued Bitcoin in exchange for using their computer power. As more and more miners come online, the network gets more secure and the maths problems get harder and harder to solve. Bitcoin just wouldn't work without these miners. So what are mining pools? Well, it's nearly impossible for individuals to mine themselves because the maths is getting so hard to solve. It takes massive computing power. When it first started back in 2009, people were actually mining for Bitcoin on their own home computers, on their laptops. But as it's got more and more difficult, you need more and more computing power. So the solution is to create mining pools, and that's what Bitclub Network have done. People can therefore share in the profits generated by pooling together their resources and splitting up the Bitcoin that is mined. There are actually no limits or restrictions on how big a mining pool can get and how it's actually set up. So, what is Bitclub Network about itself? Well, we're trying to make Bitcoin simple for people. We're a team of experts, professionals and programmers who set up the membership to help the average person cash on the growth of Bitcoin over the next few years. We want you to gain exclusive access to our mining pool and other Bitcoin opportunities, because in return you can receive a daily share in Bitcoin from our mining pool. And for lifetime membership, it's only cost $99 to join Bitclub Network. So what can you do within the Bitclub Network? Well, in essence, we have 3 sets of mining pools. We have pool number 1, pool number 2, and pool number 3. What you do is you buy a share, for instance, in any one of these mines, and you can buy multiple shares in any of these mines. You can have several in pool 1 or a mixture of the different ones. Pool number 1 costs $500 per share. For that, you get 1,000 days mining, and all the pools, you've got a contract which means you receive Bitcoin every day for 1,000 days. The real difference between each of the pools, apart from the initial cost per share, is the amount of money you can get back as commissions. This is essentially Bitcoin that you're earning that comes straight back into your wallet, and you can then exchange that for cash if you wish. So in pool number 1, 50% of your earnings come straight back as cash. The other 50% goes back in to help build the mine and make it more successful. Because one of the things with mining is, because it's getting more and more complex, you need to improve the computers that you're using, and you're continually needing to reinvest in more equipment. So that's where the repurchasing happens. So more of the money goes into repurchasing, which then means you get more shares in pool number 1. So for instance, if you start off with 1 share and you set it at 50-50, every day you'll receive a little bit of Bitcoin, and in addition, some of the 50% of your earnings will go back in to give you even more shares. So perhaps by the end of the year, you'll have more shares, 1.5 shares or something like that, as far as the future is concerned. With pool number 2, the difference is you can take slightly more Bitcoin out. So 60% of your earnings comes out as Bitcoin. The rest goes into repurchasing and building up more shares for the future. And then finally, pool number 3 at $2,000, 70% of your earnings comes back as Bitcoin every day, and 30% goes into the new equipment, and in return you're getting more and more shares in pool number 3. So you can choose what you want to do. You can set them all, for instance, at 100%, which means you're getting more and more shares in the pools. So as the future goes on, you're getting more and more Bitcoins per day out of the pools because you've got more shares. Or alternatively, you can set them back and maybe take a little bit out as Bitcoin and store the Bitcoin yourself. Because at the moment, Bitcoin's worth about $285. But as I said earlier, all the experts are predicting over the next few years that could go to as high as $10,000. Because what happens is, at the moment, there's only 25 Bitcoins generated every 10 minutes. Every 4 years, that reduces by half. Now the 4-year cycle, as it happens, probably finishes perhaps the back end of 2016, beginning of 2017. So then that drops to only 12.5 Bitcoins per 10 minutes being generated. And then 4 years later, that drops to 6.25, and so on. So that by 2140, there are no more Bitcoins being generated. So it's an asset that will reduce in the numbers, and therefore the price is almost certainly going to rise. And the final thing I want to point out is what's this one here, the founder pool. This is the most popular package that people tend to buy. What you get here is you get a share in each of the mines. So for 3,500, you get a share in all the mines for the 1,000 days. But in addition, there's all sorts of bonuses as far as the founder is concerned. Typical example is they're planning to introduce ATM machines in the future, so you'll then got an option to purchase a share in those. Just imagine getting money off every transaction as someone's taking cash or Bitcoin out of an ATM machine. They're also launching their own coin, and the founders will actually receive some of that coin prior to it being launched as far as their benefits are concerned. So the thing to remember is you get paid potentially up to 0.22% daily from your share of the total mining profits. So by having shares in these mines, like you've got different options. If you believe in Bitcoin, as I do, it's going to increase in value. More and more people are starting to transact with it. So you can choose to buy Bitcoins now and just leave them. Or alternatively, you could put that money perhaps into, say, a mining pool. And therefore, as time goes on, you'll have more and more Bitcoins, so you can take maximum advantage as the price increases into the future. So, if you want to find out more about Bitclub itself, you need to have a Bitcoin account to actually join Bitclub, but have a chat with the person that introduced you to this video or asked you to watch this video. There is just a one-time $99 membership fee to join the network, and then you can buy the shares on top of that. Typically, people's website address is http://bitclub.bz. You can find out more on that website. There's various other videos and so on. And then at the end, you'll typically have your sponsor's username. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If it is something of interest, please get back to the person that invited you to watch this video.